Mike, thank you very much. Joining us right now to discuss former New York City Police Detective Bo Dietl. Bo, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation.
Well, I've been following this very, very carefully from the beginning. And, you know, a little background on me. I was a New York City cop and detective. I was one of the original decoys back in 1972, where I was mugged over 500 times. I used headlocks, which came into chokeholds many, many times, maybe even a couple of hundred times. Nobody ever died. I never killed no one. But in reality, when you immobilize someone and you're holding them down like that, you're trying to hold them down. You could see what was happening. Even the black pedestrian there was helping him with another one. They were trying to hold him down. What the real tragedy is, this man's death. It's a real tragedy because who's at fault right now is the city of New York not dealing with the people like this who are violent, mentally ill, and they're walking on our streets. And I'm just surprised there's not a lot more of these. And we know about the violence of Mr. Neely. He broke that 67-year-old woman's nose, her orbital bones and all that. So there's violence with him. Now, it would have been okay if Neely pushed someone in front of a train or maybe came out with a knife and stabbed that Marine. You saw they grabbed him when they're trying to hold him down. There's no intent to kill him. If he shot him 5 times, the Marine, and shot Neely 5 times, there's intent there. This is a terrible tragedy. I've offered my expertise as an expert witness to the trial. I also offered any kind of bail that they need. This is ridiculous. This is a 4-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps that got involved so you wouldn't be a victim on the subways. And now what this is telling people right now, don't get involved with anything. We have pictures where young gals are sitting on a train where guys are going up to them, dragging them down through the car by their hair, and no one's doing anything. No one's stopping. This Marine, this hero, got involved, and right now we're trying to arrest him for intentional murder, which is utterly ridiculous. Manslaughter is there. The reality of this is we have to deal with these mentally ill people. The real facts are there's a lot of Neelys out there, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and Bo, we had Curtis Lewa on our show earlier, and he called it the MYOB acronym, the Mind Your Own Business acronym, to your point, instead of helping people just sit by and watch. I'd also like to get your reaction to how the media spoke about Jordan Neely. Take a listen.
A 30-year-old man who some New Yorkers may remember. Here are some videos showing Neely as quite the Michael Jackson impersonator.
He was known as a performer. You know, there are videos of him as a Michael Jackson impersonator.
He had a phenomenal voice. He was a phenomenal dancer.
They say he was a beloved entertainer, Michael Jackson impersonator.
Really someone who's bringing light into people's eyes.
He enjoyed making people happy.
Neely was a well-known Michael Jackson impersonator, but fell on hard times in recent years. A friend said he'd been struggling since the murder of his mother in 2007.
He seemed to have a little bit of a decline.
What they declined to mention there, Bo, as you know, were his 44 prior arrests, one of which you mentioned involved brutally assaulting a 67-year-old woman, to which he pleaded guilty to felony assault. But then the New York liberal DA put him in a 15-month alternative to incarceration program that he completely blew off based on his long history of drug addiction and also mental illness. So is New York City at fault here rather than the Marine Daniel Penny?
I fully say that, because the reality is there's a lot of them out there like Neely who need help. They need mental health and they need medication. And the more they're out there, this is going to happen more and more. I have one of my Marine Corps veterans that worked for me, one of my directors of security, and said, you know, and he's black. And he said to me, you know, Bo, if that was a black guy that did it, a white guy, you would never heard anything. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to make it a race. And all the race baiters now come out of the woodwork now, and everybody's trying to pump it up. Let's be real about it. This young man who served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps was trying to help people. He was trying to help so no one would become a victim. He was trying to restrain. And sometimes, like, again, I will testify as an expert witness. I have used that headlock hundreds of times. Nobody has died. And in reality, it's a terrible thing. Usually you knock them out, they black out, and then they wake up. There's no intention. Now, if you take a knife and slit somebody's throat, like a lot of my other decoy cops that I used to work with, like Bobby Billadude, had his throat slashed from ear to ear, that's intentions to kill somebody. But when you got someone in a headlock or chokehold, you're restraining them, you're holding them down. No way in the world did that Marine, that hero Marine, ever never dreamed that that man would pass away like that. Terrible tragedy, and we have to deal with it with our mental health in New York City.
All right. Very well said, as always. Bo Dietl, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.